Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/heroes, villains, and sidekicks. Over there you can get 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Episode 26, Gorilla Grodd. This week on the Heroes, Villains, and Sidekicks Show, we're going to take a look at another Flash villain. I know, I love the Flash, but we're going to take a look at another one of his villains today. Today we'll learn all there is to know about one of Flash's most fearsome and ferocious enemies, Gorilla Grodd. Before I started the show, I wanted to tell everybody that I started a Patreon page. If you're not familiar with that is, it's a way to support, artists or podcasters or whoever that have projects going, and for it you get some little extra stuff. So at different amounts, when I hit different amounts, say $10 a month or $20 a month, there'll be things that Patreon subscribers or Patreon supporters will get. You'll get to see some behind-the-scenes footage, behind-the-scenes audio. You'll get the podcast a date earlier. You'll also see some different images, maybe some bonus interviews that I do with people. So, again, what that does is it just helps out things on the show. Hosting of the website, hosting of the podcast, all the little tools that I use to do the show, the little record button on the site. So, if you get a chance, head over to the Patreon site. If you want to help out, go ahead and just become a Patreon member. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Gorilla Grodd was created for DC Comics by John Broome and the amazing artist Carmine Infantino. He made up a lot of these early Flash characters, villains, and all of them, really, to be one of Flash's most fearsome enemies. Now, Gorilla Grodd's first appearance goes way back to 1959 in issue 106, and is, you may have surprised, yes, Gorilla Grodd is a gorilla. But he's not just any ordinary gorilla. Grodd is a super intelligent gorilla with incredible mental powers, and on top of that, of course, he has this incredible strength and ferocity. So let's take a look at the origin of Grodd. So way back in Flash 106, now Flash 106 is a fairly strange issue as first appearances go, but this is the Silver Age, and wacky storylines are par for the course. I love them, but they can be pretty silly. It starts with what looks like an alien craft arriving in the city. Then we cut to the scene where we see a gorilla walk through the door, and we're wondering, is this Grodd? No, we soon realize it's a man in a gorilla suit. He's an actor friend of Barry's who plays a gorilla on stage, and I guess has for a while. He's made it sort of his signature role. But he's distressed because there are reports of a fearsome gorilla wandering the city streets. Now, he's worried that he is blacking out and running around in his stage costume, so he calls his friend Barry for help. Barry runs over to help him out, and that's when he first comes in contact with Grodd racing through the city in this sort of spacecraft-looking thing. But Barry doesn't get a good look at him. He doesn't see Grodd as the ship speeds off. We later then see Grodd, and he has gone to this circus. And what he says is he's looking for the greatest mind in the world so he can steal what he calls force of mind. I don't know why they just didn't call it mind force. I think it sounds a little bit cleaner, but a force of mind power that will allow him to control the minds of his fellow super intelligent gorillas from his home city, Gorilla City. So there at the circus, he finds Solivar in a cage. Now, Solivar is also from Gorilla City and was captured while out exploring the human world, and he's been playing dumb, in the circus, waiting to escape, and to also hide from Grodd. In the end, though, Grodd's telepathic radiation, I'm taking that from the book, telepathic radiation, pierces Solivar's mind, which knocks him out. Grodd is then able to steal the power to control minds, the force of mind power. Now, Solivar wakes up and realizes what's happened, and he escapes to get some help to stop Grodd from using the mind power to enslave all the apes in Gorilla City. And stop Grodd from, of course, then reaching out and trying to take over the world, because Grodd, in all of his incarnations and all of his, his battles and his plans in the comics, he's always trying to take over the world. I mean, I never can understand why he just couldn't be happy being a king, being the leader of Gorilla City. But no, he wants to take over the world. So Solivar finds the Flash and fills him in on Grodd's plan. Well, him and Flash, Solovar and Flash, they race to Gorilla City to fight Grodd, where Flash knocks him out, thwarting his plans. And I guess the blow was so hard that they apparently, or they thought, took away his ability to control minds. But not really, because Grodd comes back many times through the years with numerous attempts to take over the world, and he still has this force of mind, this mind control power. And that is really all we learn about Grodd and Gorilla City in that issue of Flash 106. But, we didn't really get to learn about all these gorillas, how they gained their incredible intelligence, their mental powers. We didn't learn that until many years later. It was actually in Secret Origins number 40 in 1989, where we learned the origins of Grodd and Gorilla City. And before we get to that, a quick message from our sponsor. For you, the listeners of the Heroes, Villains, and Sidekicks Show, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their system. Now, I've been using Audible for a long time. I really enjoy it. A few books that I would recommend. I'm going to go back to these. I mentioned some of the other shows because I actually just re-listened to Marvel Comics, The Untold Story. If you're into Marvel, even if you're not, you're a DC fan, whatever, you would love this book, just the behind the scenes. And I'm actually going to start re-listening the Grant Morrison book, Super Gods, What Masked Vigilantes, Miraculous Mutants, and a Sun God from Smallville Can Teach Us About Being Human. Those are two of the books you can get over there that are, comic related. And even if you're just into any old kind of book, biographies, whatnot, head over there to audible.com. So to download your free Audible book today, go to audibletrial.com/heroes, villains, and sidekicks. Again, that's audibletrial.com /heroes, villains, and sidekicks for your free audiobook. And now back to the show. So like I mentioned before the break, we didn't actually learn what Grodd's origins or Gorilla City's origins were until 1989 in Secret Origins number 40. I used to love those books, those Secret Origins books. Now, it's really, it isn't Silver Age wacky, but it's still kind of strange. Now, the first thing we see when we look at this issue, this storyline, because there's a bunch of different ape-related origins in it. But the first thing we see in the Grodd storyline is a shining spacecraft falling from the sky, landing in a jungle. Now, the ship is found by gorillas, you might have guessed, and when it's open, there's like this little alien like in a fetal position, and he even looks like a baby. He's sort of just pink and hairless. He looks like a baby. Now, the apes take him out of the ship, and in it, they also find a large diamond sphere that sort of shoots rays out and scares them. So we see that happening, and then we sort of jump to the human world where a man is restrained, what looks like in an asylum or a mental hospital. He has some wild stories he's been telling of a city filled with super intelligent apes. It's then he recounts the story to his doctor. And I have a lot of pages, a lot of great pages from pretty much all the issues, as I usually do, that we talk about. If you just head over to the episodes page for the Grodd post over at heroesvillainsandsidekicks.com, you can take a look at them. It's really fun to see these old pages. I know I've read Flash 106, a reprint of it somewhere, but that was years and years ago. So it was really interesting to see how they drew Grodd. I mean, he looks like just some kind of dopey gorilla kind of cartoony character. Comparison to what you see him now, teeth and blood and so gory, it's really a jarring change over the years. So go ahead over to the site, heroesvillainsandsidekicks.com, and take a look at some of those pages. Now, this man who's telling the story, he and his partner, they find Gorilla City and are amazed at how technologically advanced the civilization is. I mean, there's amazing architecture and scientific achievements everywhere. Now, they're amazed at this, but they're even more amazed by the fact that it's being built by gorillas. Now, the gorillas capture them, they find them and capture them, and they bring them to this alien that we saw earlier on that they now think of as sort of like a god or a mentor, but he's still alive and he's living there, and he's really the reason why that they're starting to make these technological leaps. Now we get a flashback within a flashback because the alien recounts to these men how this all came to be. Now he tells them that when the gorillas found him, and the diamond sphere, which he calls the evolution/identity caster, that the caster shot out 2 beams as a group of gorillas held onto the sphere. One beam, what he called straight pure beam, hit Solivar, which of course made him a good guy, right? And another beam, the warped/dangerous beam, hit an unknown gorilla. He didn't see who it hit, so he doesn't know who this dangerous gorilla is. Now, the alien, again, he can't see who it is, but he's fearing for his safety and the safety of all the apes in Gorilla City. So the 2 human explorers are actually taken to meet Solivar, who says he's actually ready to share their secrets with the world. He's not afraid of humans. He wants to reach out and get to know us and teach us what they've learned. And here's the problem, though. Grodd doesn't want this, but, we don't know that Grodd's doing it yet. He doesn't know that Grodd is the bad guy. Nobody does at this point. And it's then that Grodd takes control of the 2 humans, and he makes them steal the alien and kill him. Now, the gorillas see this, and not knowing that they're under mind control, they kill one of them. The other one, of course, gets away because he's telling the story. But this makes Solivar change his mind about letting humans know about themselves and Gorilla City. It's then he erects a force field that renders the city invisible, and then he just, rails against humans in a big meeting. All the gorillas there. It's pretty neat. All the gorillas are in the audience, and he's saying how bad humans are. And then it's sort of the camera, quote-unquote camera, the frame sort of pans in on one gorilla who is standing there in the crowd, listening and smiling at how well his plan worked. And of course, this is Grodd. Now, he would bide his time until he could take over and rule Gorilla City, but now he was just going to sit back and listen and smile at everything that he caused. So now we're going to flash forward again, get it? Flash forward, to the new 52 with a new origin from Grodd and Gorilla City. So it's really interesting that he's a fairly unique character. I mean, he's a talking gorilla with incredible mental powers and strength. So he's actually getting a updated new origin, and it is incredibly different than the one in Secret Origins 40. This new origin ties Grodd and his brethren to the Flash. It jettisons the idea of an alien or a meteorite altogether. It gets rid of that. In this new retelling, the gorillas receive their intelligence and mental power from what they called the light. And as you may have guessed it, the light was a bolt of lightning, but not any ordinary lightning. It was lightning from the Speed Force. So they've actually tied Gorilla City and Grodd and the intelligent apes to the Speed Force. And I really like this new origin. I mean, not just because some of the other ones were a little wacky, but it sort of updates it and it ties into the Flash, where a lot of the other, the rogues, they have a connection with the Flash. To me, I thought this really sort of bonded Gorilla City and Grodd with the Flash. And in this new origin, Grodd is even more fierce. For example, he gets to be the leader of Gorilla City, not by scheming, but by actually killing his father in battle. So at this point, he is crowned King Grodd. You would think he would just be happy. He is the king of Gorilla City. But unfortunately, when he is crowned, it's just then that the Flash appears in a flash of light. Now, in previous issues, Flash is actually struck in the Speed Force trying to escape, but this is a real, out of the frying pan into the fire. He manages to get loose, but he shows up right in front of Grodd and everybody while Grodd is being crowned king. Now, the rest of the gorillas see Flash. Now, he's got the lightning bolt on his chest, and he's crackling with the lightning, and they actually believe that he is a prophet from the light. And I guess technically he kind of is. Now, Grodd sees Flash as a challenger to his supremacy, and of course he attacks him. Now, Flash and Grodd battle, and Flash, of course, wins, and he believes that Grodd is defeated. But as we know, he is far from being beaten. Grodd then comes back, and he breaks through and he attacks Central City. And at this moment, they're also fooling around with some ideas of siphoning some of Flash's Speed Force. So there's actually these canisters with Speed Force in them. And Grodd gets a hold of them and he takes them, he drinks them, he lets them soak into his body. And he is now, get this, a super intelligent gorilla with incredible strength and mind power, and he has the speed of a Flash. So you'd think, no problem, he's going to win. But what happens is the two actually get pulled into the Speed Force. Grodd, of course, being very arrogant, still thinks that he is going to come out on top, but he has made a terrible error. I mean, Flash is the Speed Force. Flash has it flowing through him and has for years and years. And Grodd, he just has a touch of it in him. He's taken just a little taste of it that probably won't even last very long. And it's there that Flash says, you've made a big mistake. You are king in Gorilla City, but I'm king in the Speed Force. And of course, he just totally beats Grodd. Now, unfortunately, since then, Grodd has not made an appearance in DC's new Rebirth series. And he may be coming soon, though. In some of the latest issues of The Flash, starting, I think, at around 14, they're starting to have all the rogues come back. And although Grodd isn't a rogue, he is one of Flash's oldest villains. As you can see, he started in Flash 106. So hopefully Grodd will be coming back soon. And of course, Grodd is another one of those Flash characters that have made it to many other types of media. Now, he's been in almost every animated TV series out there, superhero-based. You can see him in Challenge of the Super Friends, Batman, The Brave and the Bold, Justice League Unlimited, and he even appears in Lego form in the Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes. But of course, where most non-comic book readers know Grodd from is just that fantastic CW show, The Flash. He's actually one of the first villains to be seen really early in the show, but at that point he was just a ordinary gorilla at Star Labs, pretty much being experimented on. And it wasn't until that whole accident occurred where everyone was starting to get turned into metas that Grodd got hit by the particle accelerator and he escaped. And you can actually see early on in the show that everybody loved doing the screenshots that when he broke loose of the cage, you could see the cage had a nameplate on it. And of course, that nameplate said Grodd. And it was pretty cool. I remember thinking, oh, wow, Grodd's going to be on the show. Now, Grodd then returns on the show several times and looks pretty cool as a totally CGI character. I think they're doing a really good job with it. Now, the CW has even done a 2-part episode titled Flash, Gorilla City, where Grodd lures the heroes to Earth 2, where Flash sent him, and what he wants to do, of course, is he wants to come back to Earth Prime to take it over or just to come home. And if you head over to the site, if you haven't seen Grodd on the CW show The Flash, I'll have some clips over at the site, heroesvillainsandsidekicks.com. And I can't wait to watch the part 2. Now, the family and I have watched the first episode, and I really loved it, and I cannot wait to see part 2. I haven't seen it yet, and it's such a great show. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, actually, as a side note, I've been wondering if the popularity of the new Flash show is one of the main reasons that it seems that nobody seems to like how the Flash on the upcoming Justice League movie looks. I mean, I think so. I think, I'm usually one not to just sort of discount something or say, oh, that sucks, even though we see one tiny little clip. The one sort of trailer with Batman, Bruce Wayne, and it looked pretty cool and he seemed pretty funny, but I just have a problem with the suit. I think it's really kind of janky and there's all that metal on it, but we'll see. Again, it could look pretty neat on the movie. They could pull it off. I don't know. I am hoping they can get the Flash movie spinoff off the ground, and I'm hoping if they do, at one point, they have one of my favorite Flash villains on it, Gorilla Grodd. Well, I want to thank you for listening to this week's show. Head over to the site, heroesvillainsandsidekicks.com, to check out the post for this show on the episodes page and take a look at all the images and videos that I've added. They're really fun stuff. There, you can also listen to the show, but better yet, head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review. Reviews will help us move up the rankings in iTunes and let other people know about us. So if you could just head over there and leave a review, I would really appreciate it. And if you have a character you'd like to hear about, just head over to the website, heroesvillainsandsidekicks.com, and on the homepage, there's a little microphone, a little green button with a microphone on it, and it says leave a message, and you can actually click on that and leave me a message so that I will know who you want to hear about on the show. So you can say, oh, I want to hear about this person, and this is why, and I'll actually add that video video clip, that audio clip to the show where we can hear what you had to say. So the first voice message I get, that is going to be the one I will use for next week's show. I want to thank everyone again for listening. I have a blast doing these. I hope you enjoy them. We'll be back next week with more. Take care.